Hello, my friends. Hi there. How are you? My name is Natasha. I am the creator and the founder of the Glow Up Method, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. So today's episode, I was really sitting here like, what the heck is today's episode going to be like and be about? Not necessarily like, but be about. And, the thing that kept popping up for me today was thinking about this thing, like, at some point we get frustrated in our lives or upset or we just don't feel right in our skin. And we're like, gosh, there's got to be another way, right? Like, this can't be it, like I have vulnerably explained to you, I literally and figuratively found myself at a side of a mountain in the dark. And I was so overwhelmed by everything else that I just was like, I can't take this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Like, I just don't even want to do this anymore. And thank God, like, a little voice of reason came in and was like, let's just give this one more shot. Like, let's try. Like, this mountain will still be here in a week or 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years. Like, it's going to be here. Like, why don't we just give it another shot? And my why at that time was for my kids. Like, I don't want them to, get married and there's that picture of mom on the thing. And maybe there's not even a picture of mom because mom was so, had this, whatever their feelings are about it. Like, she's not even here, maybe they're pissed off at me because they've had to live a life without me and, whatever. Like, but anyways, like, they were definitely my why in that moment, but they were always my why. Like, they were the reason why I breathed air in the first place. They were the reason why I did the things I did. The reason why, I tried so hard to protect and help and heal and, advocate for and support and everything. I mean, they were the air I breathed, the breathed. They were, whatever that word is, like, they were everything, just everything to me. And, not that it's a bad thing, right? That your kids mean that much to you, but I just gave everybody so much power that I left none for myself. That, again, it's fine to love and care and support and care for and all those things other people, but you also need to be a participant. You deserve a seat at that table as well. It's not that everybody else is at the table and you're just there serving them. You are also a person who deserves an equal chair at the table. And so, finding my why, when people say that, like, I know that you need a why. Like, I found mine holistically when it came to my health and fitness. I've been very honest and said, I had this deep and amazing, and again, I will say it all the time, I swear my grandma was my soulmate. Like, I know some people, like, it's the soulmate is like a partner, a husband or wife or some kind of partnership, like a bestie. I swear to you, there was just something magical about that woman. And we had this really unique, interesting relationship because she wasn't my mom, but in many ways she kind of stepped in when she could and was this motherly figure to me. And we did a lot of traveling together. She shared a lot of stories. We shared many beds and sat up all night laughing our eyes out. They were puffy. We shared tears. We shared a lot of experiences together. And again, I'm honest here in saying that I wasn't always the most vulnerable and honest with what was going on within me, but I was always so receptive of learning. Like, I was just an observer, somebody who was very curious and just enamored with her stories. Like, she would just speak and it was, something magical about her voice and just the way she walked and the way she carried herself and how people adored her. Like, she would go into the bank and everybody knew her name. And, she would just be one of those people that would just start laughing and you don't even know what the hell they're laughing at. And suddenly you're dying, you're in stitches because she's sitting here just busting, laughing. And again, so I will say, was my soulmate. Like, she just was everything to me in life. And I admired her so much that we had this unique relationship that in this vision, had this idea that I really want to have that kind of a relationship, but now I'm the grandmother with one of my grandkids or all of my grandkids. Like, how cool would that be? Like, full circle moment, how the tides has changed, because my grandma was very close with her grandma. And perhaps that grandma was very close with hers. And, to have this chain, this link, this invisible string from grandmother to granddaughter, or grandson, perhaps, like, it was something I really, like, it called to me. And it's not that it wasn't possible, like by now, probably because the way my weight was ticking up, like it was like compound interest. Like, it was like every year I'm like, I didn't change anything about my eating style or lack of movement efforts. Why am I gaining 10 to 20 pounds a year? Like, I just couldn't, like, the math wasn't mathing. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, how am I keep gaining weight? Maybe it's my aging, whatever it is. But I was on a trajectory to be like probably like 350 pounds now. And again, like I said, I had fatty liver disease, I had high blood pressure, I had the beginnings of high cholesterol, I had or elevated cholesterol, whatever it's called, pre-diabetic, probably a slew of other things going on, but those I have confirmed on. And all of those are gone now. So yeah, anything can happen when I walk out or even sit within this door. I can go to sleep and never wake up, right? There's no guarantees, but I'm mitigating the risk, right? And then I'm able to, because my healing journey has not just been a physical journey. It has been a mental journey, an emotional journey, a spiritual journey, all in this quest to live the life of my dreams. That makes me proud. That is something that I did that. Like, I chose that. I chose how I responded in this situation versus reacting. I chose what I did with my mornings. I made my mornings magical. Again, like I've said before, when I was younger, I was a bear. I was not a morning person. Like, people, like my girlfriends in high school were like, yeah, no, we let you sleep. Like, we were not about to wake you up, because it was like, rawr, and they didn't want to wake the bear, literally and figuratively. And then once I had my kids, like immediately, it was like, I'll be damned if I start my kid's day with this disgruntled gruffness. And I think what really brought it to light was Chris is not a morning person. And so tiptoeing around him and feeling this anxiety on the first thing in the morning, like, ooh, I accidentally shut the door and he woke up, or I said good morning. And, it really, like, you could say good morning and I was like, rawr, like, nobody's answering, he's not answering, all these things. And I was like, oh, is this a mirror, like, shining back on me? Is this what I'm like? Like, no, I cannot. Like, I was like gutted to think that my kids would feel this fear, like, can't wake mom, like, shh, mom's sleeping, don't wake her up. And then, have like this worry that mom's gonna pop off on them first thing in the morning. Who wants to start a day like that? Like, personally, and even like for somebody you love. So I really made this conscious choice and effort to break the habit of being a bear in the morning. And suddenly, with time and consistency, I had my why. My why was I didn't want my kids to experience that. I didn't want to experience, feeling and distributing that kind of, behavior first thing in the morning. And so suddenly, the next thing you know, everybody's like, you're a morning person. You're, they didn't even remember me as the bear I was. And my kids luckily never really met that version of me. Now, if you wake me up at night, like, different story. I'm like, like, I'm sleeping, but most of the time not. 2 days ago, I had 3 of my 4 kids come knocking on my door when I was asleep and just came in to chat with me. And I was like, huh? Yeah. Uh-huh. Like, I'm so conditioned now that this is what it is. There's no, like, even if I'm middle sleep, but my kids need me, I'm here and I'm ready. And it doesn't even have to be something important, but you want to come in and shoot the breeze with me and I happen to be asleep, come on in, like I think sometimes I'm like, but like most of the time, say 99.9% of the chance, like, I'm like, give me a second here. Let me just open my eyes and I'm locked in on you. But realizing that and then adapting my life, and it wasn't overnight, but eventually, like, they would joke and they're like, do you shimmy out of bed and like sun rays come out and you're like, blah, hallelujah? And I'm like, yeah, I am. A lot of days I am like that. I have now become a little more balanced, where my mornings are definitely more zenful, especially since I'm not taking 4 kids to 4 different schools at 4 different times and worrying about pickups and drop-offs and lunches and da. All of those things the mother has to do. Is Chris up? Is Chris getting to his job? Is our employee up? Is he getting to his job? Let me give this person a call. Let me do this. The mornings were chaos before. And as some of those things have self-corrected, right? And other things, I have chosen how my morning goes. I wake up early to make sure I have at minimum 1 hour dedicated to my showering, my toothbrushing, my scalp massaging, my dry brushing, my meditation, my 10-minute morning walk, my making my bed. All those things that I didn't do a few years ago are now like some of the most highlights of my day. I don't even think about it. I leave my phone up here on my bed. Like, I don't even think about it. I don't even miss the phone. I'm not even trying to take a picture of what I see. If I see something cool, the other day I literally saw a gardener snake slither by me, and it startled me because it was moving, but I was like, it's kind of cool. Like, I mean, you're over here in your distance. Like, I don't want you coming to me, but observing your patterns of how you're moving and you're slithering away from me, which I very much appreciated. I thought it was just fascinating. Something you don't always see walking on the road is a little gardener snake. And again, he wasn't near my house, so, whole different ballgame. But, just fascinating to really hear the sounds of the birds and just things like the sounds of your feet underneath your body, like feeling the different breezes and the sun and all those different things hitting your skin. So again, I have now crafted a morning that I'm proud of, that I love, and I'm still open to adding new things into that morning routine. I obviously need to, allocate more time then, but like, I didn't see 2 months ago me adding morning walks outside into it. And again, getting outside and doing that, 1 block walk, that at minimum it's 10 minutes. And usually, I don't go too much more because I only have so much time in the morning. But even like this morning, I made sure I had time to do that before I went to the gym. And I just felt like alive. Like, instead of just getting up, doing my morning stuff and hopping in the car, getting that 10 minutes of silence to really kind of think about nothing, or think about my day, or think about something that's kind of been going on. Or if I'm overthinking, I start like just observing. I observe what I'm seeing. I'm observing what I'm feeling. I'm observing what I'm hearing. I'm observing what I'm smelling, and I'm observing what I'm tasting, which is usually not a whole heck of a lot, since I hadn't eaten since, I ended my fast the day before usually. On occasion, it's something like a black coffee, because I can eat that or drink that during my fast, or water or toothpaste, or, something like that, the minty stuff. But just having these observations and like kind of just listening to my thoughts and listening to my body and checking in and being like, what's kind of going on here, is a really sweet place to do. Like, again, I had talked about, I really do believe that with anything, it's important to figure out who you are. Now, sometimes we're already in relationships and it's too late and we still don't know who we are, like I was. And Chris and I, what we try to do is I was working on me. We were working on he wasn't working on him. Eventually he integrated working on him, but the we often took so much energy and so much priority over the me that I began to abandon me for the we. It felt like it was the right thing to do. I had made the choice for reconciliation and, giving this our full effort, so that like the things that I had discovered that I really enjoy doing, my self-care Sundays alone, a lot of the things that I like doing, he was now interested in spending time with me. So he would be like, oh, well, do you want to do this? Or, can I come along? And I didn't really have the courage to say no, and I didn't really feel like I had the place. And on occasion I did, but I didn't want to deal with how it would make him feel or what he would worry about. If I go to the beach alone, he's going to worry I'm going to go and meet somebody there. Like, again, that was his work, but I kind of took it on in this very proactive, protective thing. and I lost who I was again. And, I was like, figuring it out, because it was the first time in my life I was really honest about what my emotions were, what my feelings were, like paying attention to them. Like, I remember a therapy session, and it was like, me being upset. She's like, what do you feel in your body? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I never really thought about this. So having to like feel the frustration of not really knowing what my experience is, and then taking it down and starting to observe, like, oh, my heart is racing. Oh, my hands are trembling. Oh, I'm rapid breathing. Like, noticing how these different life events were triggering me was open-minded and eye-opening for sure about what my experience. I went in with curiosity, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I just thought this was normal existence. Like, I thought that, I was always on one. I was always feeling stressed out in my skin. And so really starting to notice when, I'm now not doing what I was wanting to do for the sake of the we, I neglected the me. It really gave me this place to say, this doesn't feel right. And eventually I was able to articulate that, hey, I do enjoy spending time with you, but I also need to spend time with me in order to be the healthiest version when we are the we. And so, after a series of therapies, a couple therapists, and, we were in there for a couple years together, we made the difficult decision. Again, he was often one that was like, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. So it made it a lot easier for me to be like, I really think we need to focus on our individual work, because if we're both coming in here broken, we can't fix each other. Like, this is not going to be fixed. And so again, not everything is about fixing, but there is definitely a lot of repairs that needed to be done. We were driving on a freeway filled with potholes, and we didn't clear up all those, wounds. And so they're just gaping holes, giving us pop tires every time we got on the freeway. And it was costing us money and time and irritation. And quite frankly, we weren't getting anywhere fast. We did make a ton of progress, but I say all that to say, I know it's challenging sometimes because you're juggling so many different things: your career, school, your own emotions, children, other relationships, significant others, the desire for significant others, your entertainment. Like, there's so many different balls that we're juggling at any given moment. But I really do feel like finding that place where you have a space to curiously and non-judgmentally explore what it is you want. I say that to say, like, I would have times in my mind that I was like feeling like, okay, Chris and I chose to be together because of circumstances. We have both been very honest that perhaps if those circumstances weren't there, we wouldn't have ever been together. We are very different individuals with very different, identities, very different, like focus and priorities and desires out of life. We are very, very different. We have different values. We have different philosophies. And yeah, opposites attract. Like, opposites can make life exciting. But both of us were very honest about, like, we probably wouldn't have been together because we're just so very different. And so I think for me, the thing that had started to stick out personally that I discovered during my me time, when I recaptured that back to myself, and I was like, Sundays are my day. And so, I'm available on Fridays or Saturdays, but Sunday I need that time to not be asked. And I know, like, it's hard for me to say no still. Like, in the process at that time, it was like, I don't want to say no because, like, I was still very much people pleasing. I was still very much unconfident and insecure in my ability to say no. And, nice people don't say no. And, good people don't say no. Like, all these, like, stories that I had concocted in my mind that I wasn't able to. So if somebody asked, I was like, sure. Even though inside I was like, no, I don't want to, And so I think the best part of being alone and having either something happen that prompts you to figure out your why or figure out whatever it is once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's there. It's like I say, when my kids are innocent and they don't know the swear words, they don't know they're there. And then suddenly somebody busts an F-bomb and now they know the swear words are there, right? It's like I always wanted, because I didn't have an innocence, right? Like my innocence was robbed from me, like I just didn't have it. It's not like somebody stole it or whatever, but very young, I did not have an innocence. So especially for my oldest one, bless his heart, Brad, sorry, my boo. But I very much protected his innocence. There's, no shooter games, no, PG-13 movies only until he's like 18. No joke. Like seriously, it was nothing that, no horror movies, nothing like that whatsoever. Even the content, they couldn't watch like boxing or things like that because this is violence. Like I was very, very, very protective of their innocence. It was really important, the content. Now here on the other end, I did not know my daughter was having some extremely uninnocent conversations with some family members, which I'm like, what? She was just a kid, but that's neither here nor there. In my control, in my mind, I was doing everything I could do to protect their innocence, because once it was gone, it was gone. You don't get it back. And it's the same kind of philosophy and thought with this. It's like, once you begin the awakening, you cannot go back to sleep. It is there. And you feel, at least for me, my experience was, I just felt so uneasy in those moments. Like where before, it just was like normal everyday life. Like that's just how we feel. That's just what happens. But now that there was this curiosity and this light bulb that had went off, that you didn't know you were living in the dark, I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't unfeel the things I felt. It just took me some time to get to where I could advocate for and communicate for myself, even though I knew at times it would cause strife or it would cause somebody else to feel hurt, right? Like he's offended. He wanted to hang out with me and I'm not, and he can say it's okay, but then I come home and there was, turmoil and I'm feeling guilty, and part of me is like, oh my gosh, maybe I should just not and should have done this so that I didn't have to come home and feel the anger. And then I remember like, but I felt really good on my own. I felt really good getting that time I needed. Not even that I felt good. It was like, I get it. I was operating with an empty tank, and even with an empty tank, it was like somebody was poking holes, and even when there was nothing, they were trying to get something, like not they, me, whoever, whatever. It was just, there was nothing feeling back the tank again. And even if it started to, there was somebody constantly draining. It just never even got to a quarter of a tank. It was just always on empty, on fumes. And so I just wasn't running this life efficiently and effectively, between the potholes and the nothing in the tank. It was really challenging for me. And so I remember a time where in this process, I had this like thought, and the thought was this, like, in regards to my relationship with Chris, is like, we ended up together because of the circumstances. And what my whole goal and the whole objective of reconciliation, beyond let's keep the family together, like it's better to know, like I know him, he's not gonna like, there's some weirdos out there, like there's some great people, but like, sometimes it's better to know the whatever. There's some saying, I don't know. It isn't cheaper to keep her, but that's not what I'm thinking. But like, it's about like, better to be with the devil than the one you don't, or something of this effect. I don't know. But I was like, yeah, it's not that bad. It's not this. It's not that. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's right. Like something feels off and amiss, but it's not that bad. Like it's not. And so I had came to this point where I really, like my whole thing was I wanted to be friends, and I wanted to like start over fresh, which I know you can't because there's 20 plus years of history, but I wanted to start in a place where it was like, I knew I was in the relationship because I wanted to be in the relationship, versus I was in the relationship because a 22-year-old girl had decided that at that time, that was the best option for her. Or not even necessarily the best option. It was just, she didn't know how to say no. She didn't know how to do this. It was just all so fast. But the turnaround between being pregnant and married was a couple of days max. there was so much going on. You got a rush of hormones, you got, all kinds of uncertainty. And so, yeah, I'm never going to hold a 22-year-old girl who was doing the best she could with the tools she had at that time, hostage and be like, well, no, this is your decision. We're going to stick with it. And for a long time I did. Like, I was like, I'm loyal to a fault. Like, I will, I don't end things. I'm going to stick it out to the everlasting end. And I was so honest with him about it that I think it gave him this place to be like, she ain't going nowhere. Like, I can treat her anyway. And she's loyal to a fault. I know that, and she's not going to go anywhere. I mean, he was very clear that he was like, yeah, I just never thought you'd go anywhere. And I was always very clear, like, I do have a breaking point. It is way down the road. Like, I will tolerate a lot of crud, or at least the old version of me tolerated a lot. But I always did warn. I was like, watch out, because when the breaking point comes, it comes and it comes quick, and it's like the innocence, and it's like, I can't go back. Like, you have hurt me so bad that it is beyond the point of return. And even if I tried, I can never love or care about you in the same way. It's like, I now see you in this new light, because of this one event or whatever it is, or accumulation of events. I don't know what it is, but it's a pretty clear, and I warned, I was like, there is a point, full disclosure. Like, if we get there, it's the point of no return. And so I really just wanted to want him. I really wanted to want to be in the relationship. And I was really seeking evidence of that. I was really seeking, a friendship. And that's where I wanted to begin. It was like, let's just get to know each other as if we're dating and we didn't know all these things. Like, let's curiously get to know one another. And, it caused a lot of strife because this is my point of view. This is my perspective. And for him, it was like, I don't want to be your friend. And that, for some reason, was a devastating blow to me. And it was like, so you don't want to be my friend. You will be my friend if I commit to you that I will never break up with you and I will never do these things. I could lie to you and say that, but I don't know. Life is life, and I'm not going to sit here and be fibbing and say, oh yeah, I'll be with you forever in order to get what I want, which is you to treat me like a friend and treat me with kindness and all that stuff. And so it was a contentious thing. I was like, I need a friend, and he's like, I don't want to be your friend. And on the opposite, it was like, he wanted so badly to be together, but like, anybody could see on the outside, like, this isn't how you treat somebody you want to be with. Like, and then, he'll justify it. Well, you don't treat me the best either. And I was like, listen, I'm telling you, this is what I need, like, in order to be in this relationship. You're the one who's saying you want to be in it so badly, where I'm at the point where I'm like, it could come or go. And you're choosing to sit here and push me so far away because I'm like, I don't even want to be in the same room with you because I feel like I might be under attack. Like, so it's just so fascinating to me about the why, where my why came from. And again, sometimes I'm going to be honest, I hate when people say that, like, what's your why? Because I sit here and I get lost. Like, I'm sitting here for 5 days thinking about my why, and I'm panicking. I don't have my why. Should this be my why? Like, it just puts a lot of pressure on me. And then, oh, now I know my why. And I can sit here and I can make changes and I can make a plan and all this. And now 4 weeks have gone by. I kind of know my why. I might have settled on a why, or now I'm lost in the planning, right? I'm overwhelmed by what to do now. I think when it comes holistically and you have that moment of silence, that time where it's like, it's not like it's this thing. Like, yes, when it was about me being able to see my grandkids, it was a very important and connected thing to me. Again, it wasn't because a book told me it or some podcast told me. It was just my own personal, like, realization, like, what had occurred that motivated. And now I'm like, oh, that was my why. It wasn't never set out to be, here's my why, but I say all that to say, it is important. It is that driving force to when you feel really tired or you feel overwhelmed and you feel broke down and you reach an obstacle and you're confronted with, I could either continue on or not. It helps you with that momentum. It helps you with the confidence to know, I'm going in the direction that really means something to me, that's purposeful and to my heart. And so, You know, there's so many different ways on how you can come to your why. I mean, you could figure out what your purpose is, what is it you enjoy, what is it you desire, or you could just do. You could be at the side of a mountain and realize, I'm going to give this one more shot, like for my kids. You know, I could be on the scale at 300 pounds and be like, I'm going to do this for my grandkids. Like, I am not motivating myself enough. Like, I am not enough to be like, oh, because I'm healthy. Like, that wasn't enough for me. That wasn't enough of a why. But knowing that, like, these future people I haven't even met that I already love, will get the best version of me and the healthiest version of me, hopefully, God willing, really was important. So figure out what's important for you, and you don't have to write it, and it doesn't have to be this whole thought out thing. It may just come holistically. It may be something that in your journaling, you're reflecting on changes that you're making, and you kind of see, oh, that was my why. So sometimes we make it a little bit more complicated. I personally put a lot of pressure on me in finding my whys and stuff like that. But they might just already be there. If you take a look and, you know, maybe in some of your mindfulness time, you know, do some reflecting, and you'll see, that was my why. All along, you were there motivating me and keeping me to move the ball forward. And I didn't even have like words to it. So I say all that to say thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm super excited to have spent this last 30 minutes. I didn't know what I was going to talk about, and here we are. We're at the end. And so I appreciate you. I thank you. You are amazing. You are part of my why. I'm still recording these every day, except for when I'm on vacations. But you are my why. And again, like I say, if it's you, if it's a future grandkid, if it's somebody, and I touch one person and something I say resonates or they hate it and it leads to something, it's worth it all. So I appreciate you so much for being my why. I thank you. I am so proud of you for doing everything you do. And if you could just do me one huge favor, go out there today, give somebody a big smile, give them a compliment, and just watch how they glow up. So thank you. Bye.